to this. Okay, great.
Cool.
So hello everyone. I would like to first welcome one of the founders of Srujna Charitable to basically talk and guide us through Seva in service, which is our topic for the webinar today. She and her best friend have been running this charity for nearly 15 years, and they have delivered an impact to over 2 lakh women in rural India. So this is someone really, really inspiring that we can take a lot from. Okay, so let's just think about the first things that we want to talk about. So first of all, I want to hear about like your origin story of why you started the foundation, and how you set it up.
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting us and making us part of this webinar. It's truly a privilege to be sharing our story and thoughts about Seva and service and how we have imbibed it in our day-to-day life. As you said, Srujna is nearly 15, almost turning 15 now. We were back then students of management. We were completing our MBAs in social entrepreneurship. And like every other privileged kid, we were wanting to complete our degrees, get good jobs, possibly even work for unilateral organizations like the UN or something similar. And of course, fate had something different in its mind. I ended up doing an internship with rescued victims of human trafficking. Internship is a part of a compulsory mandate for the course. And I thought 15, 20 days I will easily get by. I was teaching them simple math, English, whatever simple volunteering I could do. And whenever we go for volunteering, it is a very subtle ego which is stuck that, oh, I'm doing a favor to someone. And being student, even I had that back of my mind till the time this young girl, 9-year-old, came up to me and said that it's all fine. You come here, you teach us math, English, but do you know where I come from? And I was totally blank, like where this conversation is headed, what is she hinting at? And then she said, I'm 9 year old. I have a legal case on me because I was rescued from a human trafficking act. I don't know where my family is, who my friends are. There is no one to support me. Once this legal case is over, I'll be thrown back to the same place I'm rescued from. That day, that particular instance, that interaction shook me completely. Coming from a privileged family, I have never heard anything of this sort in my near and dear ones, in my friends. Even I've never heard my acquaintance talk about that. But this was a young girl, 9 year old, who should be worrying just about, let's say, doing their homework or completing exams, and she was talking about some legal cases and God knows what had happened to her. And life was never the same for me after that. I went back to my friend Vaishali, the co-founder of Srujna, and I said, "Hey, look, this is what happened, and I think we should do something about it." And that urge was very high. I was very restless. I was extremely wanting to do something about it. And Vaishali said, let's train them in doing something because rescued victims are allowed by the government to work for 2 to 3 hours so that they can earn some income and support themselves. So we trained them in making some fashion jewelry product, which as students we could sell it through exhibition, through at corporate campuses or universities, housing complexes, etc. And that's how we earned some money for them. We transferred it in their accounts so that they had something to fall back on when they left the shelter homes. And that's how Srujna was started. It's been now nearly 15 years and we have never looked back. There are different groups of women at the grassroots in rural India and tribal India that we work with. And our singular aim is to support them so that they become independent and they don't fall in such kind of traps.
Amazing. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. It must have been such a insane thing to have been experiencing
Yeah,
just as like a
yeah,
university
absolutely.
student. and then hearing this
Yeah.
from someone that is experiencing it. I feel like sometimes in Seva, we can sometimes detach ourselves from what we're actually doing. And sometimes I think the most powerful thing is to really feel everything that the other person is feeling. Like people that are watching would maybe even do like homeless drives or have given food at food banks, but it feels good that yes, you're helping that one day in giving them food, but if we really like sat with them and had a conversation with them,
Absolutely. Yes.
the impact that would move us, I'm sure a lot of people would be starting these kind of charities. So it's a really, really inspiring thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little bit ill right now, but
Oh.
so yeah. Um, Yeah, just insane, honestly. So I want to know a little bit more about it. Like, what kind of things do you guys continue to do to like keep, I guess, giving them some kind of income? I remember you saying about the fashion jewelry just now, but was that at the beginning or is that following through even now?
No, that was just in the beginning. So, typical like any startup, because we were management students, we never saw our charity as a typical not-for-profit organization. We
Yeah.
thought we'd always make it very professional, and that's what we strive to do even today. So, as I said, it Seva also becomes a subtle ego. So, at every point when we kept on experiencing that, we had a lesson to learn. So in 15 years, what we have typically learned our lessons is in the start, we tried to do everything. We gave them skill trainings. We facilitated market linkages for them, so where they can go and sell the products. We used to train them on business concepts because we learned business concepts. We also helped them register, did a lot of work, blah, 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 entered the communities. And then we thought we couldn't do it all. And especially a small team, young organization, a startup, how much can we do? So typically we went back, kept on learning lessons. And today the biggest thing that we can do or have built our expertise is in building capacities of women at the grassroots. And by that, I mean we train them in how to make products. We have one or two products which are of mass consumption, which women can make and we can probably distribute, like reusable sanitary pads, or we have some food products that are distributed in tribal villages of India. We have projects of leadership where we hone their leadership skills. So they take on leadership in their community, and then sky's the limit. They can do projects in education, water conservation, waste management, etc., etc. We don't dictate what they want to do. And finally, we teach them about finances. So we learned the hard lesson for so many years. We were helping them earn an income. But that was not sufficient because income used to go back home and they never saved, never invested, and they were in a debt cycle. So again and again, they would take up loans with high interest rate. So finally, we came up with a project called Project Lakshmi, which is to train women at the grassroots in financial literacy concepts and also enroll them for some governmental, non-governmental schemes for savings, investment, and medical insurance. So it goes a long way in helping not just them, but their families as well.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. That's honestly amazing. It's really tackling, I guess, the problem at root rather than giving a short-term solution of here you go, here's some money. Um, because yeah, I guess we all know that's not sustainable. If someone gave you a wad of cash and expected you to know what to do with it with no background in
Absolutely. Yeah.
education itself, like not even math and English sometimes when they're growing up in the villages. So this kind of thing is amazing. What kind of, just out of interest, what kind of pushback did you guys receive from communities when you're going in and delivering this kind of change? Because I guess sometimes there can be that resistance to change, or like they're coming here with their Western ideas, they're
Yes.
trying to do X, Y, Z. And obviously you're empowering the women, but
Yeah.
in a lot of these communities, the men are still the ones that are in the
100%.
control seat. So what's your experience with that?
I think I'll take from your example. So when we go for, let's say, food drives, or when we go to the community for a one-time kind of event, they are very open, they are very accepting because they are receiving something from us. And typically there would be branding, there would be some photographs, and done. We are done for the day. But when it is something long-term, it requires patience and first of all earning their trust, because there's so many people who come and go, who have not been there through their whole journey, as you said, who have not sat down with them to understand their condition. That makes the entire difference. So, to give you an example and a story, again, we are from cities in India, urban cities in India. We do have Western concepts. So, when we design a project in our office, it's sort of like sitting in the boardroom and coming up with ideas.
Right.
And there was one district, particularly in the northeast of India, where we labeled the project as a failure. Why? Because women were just earning 2,000 Indian rupees per month, which is less than 20 pounds. So we said, this is not empowerment. This is nothing. We are not bringing any change. Let's just shut the project. But when we went there, I have personally been there. I spoke to the women, and they said, we have houses, we grow our own vegetables. All of them had farms. So they didn't require money for food. And they said transport is walking, because here everyone walks, and that was okay with them. They said the only reason we work, and we work only for 2 to 3 hours a day, is for education. And that's what we needed money for. And it changed my mind completely. Oh my God, this is a great project. This is something they are empowering the next generation. But because we were so ignorant, we didn't know what to do. And I think that is the biggest pushback we get from the community, where we feel that we decide what it is there, but the ground reality would be different. And that's where the women would also resist us, that you outsiders come and suggest us something, but this is not how it is done. And similar to it, the second thing is even working on their mindset. They have been living a certain way for their whole life. Us bringing in some kind of change disrupts their normal routine, even if normal routine is sort of like the men would be beating them up, or men would be restricting them from doing something. But breaking that and bringing change is biggest pushback we face from the community. And that is by far the most difficult challenge to overcome.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that it would be like, I think it's very difficult, especially from a place of privilege, even to come and speak to these kind of people because they, it's hard for them to understand that we are trying, that we might be trying to help, but like we don't understand what they're going through. So
Yeah.
like, no matter how much we can try and empathize, they are going through things that we probably have not experienced, and so it's so difficult to do a roles reverse and really understand why they're doing what they're doing, why they make the choices that they make, because it's out of state of majburi, like of desperation that they're doing it.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Um, so yeah, it's difficult. It's really, really difficult.
Yeah, and sometimes it's survival, because if they leave we have heard stories that even in a domestic violence kind of a case, the woman chooses to stay in that family because otherwise she's unsafe. Like she's open to other men coming in and doing stuff and anything. So her daughter are protected by that abusive domestic violence kind of a person, rather than going out and living in the community alone. So it's really tough to think from that situation, where survival is at stake, and they do whatever is needed to just be there.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. It's like it's the whole idea. I mean, if we relate it back to Jainism, um, it's the whole idea of an ekantvad and relative perspective.
Right.
So it's easy to come on the outside of a glass box and see something and you're like, oh yes, that's wrong. Look at her not respecting themselves. But when
Yeah,
you're inside the glass box and you're experiencing the feeling of
exactly.
being trapped and not
Yes,
having a way out, that's a
yes,
completely different situation.
yes, yes, yes. And
So, yeah,
those taught us a lot of values about compassion, not just talking
exactly.
about it, but actually acting in that way, not from sympathy, but from empathy.
Yeah.
So we had some pretty hard lessons from the grassroots, which we learned on our journey.
Yeah. So how do you guys still like to this day now find people that are experiencing this? Is there a way, like, do people contact you first or how does it work?
We have our network. We have grassroots organizations that we work with across India in 9 states. So they too come up to us and say these are a group of women. We typically work with group of women, not one or two single. We believe strongly in the power of community. When people come together, they support each other. So we have that network across India. We work with 100 plus women from the grassroots who have sort of become leaders now in their own community, and they become our trainers, they become our leaders, they head the livelihood centers, everything. So those then become our referral points, as well as we have other stakeholders like donors or advisors who come up to us and say, hey, this organization needs is looking to collaborate, are you open to collaborating and supporting or starting a new venture there? And we're more than happy to take that up.
Okay, amazing. So it's really great then because I feel like that also that having the reach and the so many touch points that someone can go to get some kind of help is
Right.
also very difficult because I mean I think like when I went to India recently I I think I've heard stories where basically they would come to me and then they would say, "Look, I'm in this situation right now, but I actually can't tell anyone because otherwise someone will find out. If someone finds out that I've been talking to you, um I'm gonna get in trouble." And
Yeah.
so even though you're asking me like what's going on in my life and how you can help, I can't tell you because of that fear.
Mm.
And I think having that belief system that is rooted in fear that I can't be helped, someone's going to
Yeah.
take me, I'm not safe on my own, I can't take care of myself,
Yeah.
that barrier is so difficult to
Yes.
cross because you feel like you're completely on your own, even if you have a family. Even
Yeah.
more so, as you were saying, with the example of a mother and a daughter staying in that kind of household, they have so much responsibility. And I guess it's kind of our and your responsibility to be as seen as possible,
Yes.
to give as many outlets as possible, so that even if someone is walking past these kind of centers, they are able to do a sign of help or like speak to
Absolutely.
someone.
Absolutely. And I also believe a lot of awareness is needed, typically because there's such subtle societal pressures, restrictions, and permission culture that is ingrained in the entire, I would say, framework. It is difficult. Sometimes women and the girls are taught to be silent. Like, you don't need to be bold, you don't need to go and talk to everyone. So that is also a big barrier and a hurdle that they have to cross if they want help or if they even want to reach out to someone.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're thinking of the scale of impact, would you say that the grassroots leadership, how you said you've got like around 100 leaders, those are like the most important part of the system?
Yes, leadership at every level, I feel, is extremely important and unique in its own way. So we have a lot of conversation with young youth organizations or youngsters, especially those who are studying in colleges or universities. And we are saying if you can be leader in your own respective areas, communities, in or your own unit in which you function, it brings out so much of change where you are. And that is the support network that we are trying to create for the women at the grassroots. So tomorrow, if you see there is a subtle indifference or there is subtle, I would say there are restrictions in your own household, and if you are voicing it out, if you are being supportive there, you can definitely have a play a major role when it comes to supporting women at the grassroots. And
For sure.
again, Seva at every step, if you can ingrain, that brings about a major change and changes the entire country.
Completely agree. Completely agree. But I also just think this whole foundation that you guys have created has is very inspiring because I think it's the kind of model that would function even if you weren't there.
Absolutely, yes.
And I think that's the kind of longevity that is very difficult to crack in an organization. It's like when it's hinged on the founders and someone
Yeah,
has to, step away for personal reasons or
true,
health
true.
takes over. If the work should still continue.
True.
And so having these kind of 100 community leaders, and also I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. They must feel so empowered as people that are signposted for their community that I will help you, or
Yeah.
I've been trained to help you. That's my purpose.
Yeah.
So I think that's also really inspiring because I think other people in the community seeing these kind of things and growing up with these kind of role models in and around their community makes them more aware of, no, I'm not meant to be hurt. I'm meant to be respected.
Yes.
I need to have these kind of education things. This is normal because it's the
Exactly.
lack of exposure that is enabling a lot of these things in the first place.
Exactly. We did some research across our 9 states and we found out that 83% of the women in those areas didn't have a role model to look up to because their mothers, their grandmothers, everyone has followed through the same journey. Education in India has got on, so literacy is not a problem anymore. But what happens after literacy is a very big question. And that I think needs to be addressed with such role models, which says that hey, even if I'm married, I have children, I still do one, two, three things. And I'm balancing my home and work responsibilities. I'm taking charge in the community. And that respect and dignity which they get changes the entire game. I definitely believe at least changes it for the next generation.
For sure, for sure. And I think also it's just about providing access. It's not necessarily saying that, look, when you have your kids and whatever, you have to work and do that. But most of these people don't have an option.
No.
And so we as Westerners can happily say, oh, but the woman should be able to work whenever. It shouldn't be just the man working and the woman stays at home and raises the kids.
Mm,
In the Western world, we have that. We have that option. You can go get an education and then you can go to work and you can find a partner that allows you to do that. But we
correct.
have the option.
Correct.
If we didn't have the baseline of education or the opportunities, then we
Yeah.
would not be in the same situation. We would not have the choice. And so it's easy for us to parrot and say, oh, no, 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 etc.
Correct.
So
Absolutely. And
it
I
is
also
really nice.
strongly believe the societal structure, even if there are opportunities, there is education, there is a gap in society which we are trying to fill now. Because our generation, or maybe a generation even earlier than us, we are all educated. We were given the opportunities. The families are uber supportive, and they are saying, go work, make a career, do whatever, follow your dreams. But when the women step out, who fills that role in the house? Is a major question. And that society together is not able to answer at the current moment, I feel. And that's why this entire appeal is there that whether women should work, they should stay home, and both the sides are struggling equally, I feel.
Yeah. But it's leveling the playing field, and I
Yes,
guess that's the
yes,
start, and that's the most important thing.
true,
Given the
true.
choice, you can do whatever the heck you want, but you have to be given
Exactly,
the choice first.
exactly,
So
exactly.
that's really, really interesting, actually. So when you guys began the Seva project, how did you guys and your parents, I guess because you were really young, think you were going to sustain your lives through just doing a charity?
Yes, it was difficult because everyone does have a question whether charity can become a career or back in 2011 when we started, even before that, everyone had the question that this is not a serious work. Like this can be done as a hobby or the old model of functioning was work or career is equal to money and status. Seva is something that you do on Sundays or maybe during pollution that you follow certain rules and values in everything you do. And we are also surrounded by a lot of Gujarati community, especially Jain. So Jainism, Vaishnav, all those values are pretty much ingrained in us. Growing up, we had all friends who were surrounded by them, right? But everyone looks at charity as something that has to be done when you are sufficient, you have sufficient resources, you have status, money, everything, then the overflow or the surplus you can do as seva. Whereas we were trying to break that model and say, whatever work we are engaged in, whether it was studies or whether it was career, it was work at home, we wanted seva to be part of it. And that, as I said, the subtle ego and arrogance of I was doing Seva was broken completely during these 15 years. Initially, when you do a lot of work, even in the charity model, and you get a lot of praises, oh my God, you're working with so many women, you're doing such good work. Your ego does get a boost that wow, this is something that we are doing, right? I'm responsible for changing lives of so many women across India. But then it hits slowly that we are just a doer. If this platform was not available to me, I would not be doing anything. And my career honestly is dependent on that. So for me, that changed the game completely.
Yeah.
Like I was just a doer. I was not I was just given this platform to do various kind of things that I can do. What happens, and this is a question we typically ask anyone who comes to volunteer, what if we are not taking any photographs of whatever you're doing? What if you're not allowed to tell even a single soul that you have gone and done something? Would you still do Seva? And that leads to the fabric. So coming from privilege is not something of a problem or something that you need to hide. And we all are from privileged background because our health is good, we are educated, we have resources, we come from privileged backgrounds, we have right to choose things, etc. But what if we use this privilege as a potential which we can direct to help serve others? And that, when it shifted that thought, everything that we did was through that lens. So if we were making decisions, it was through that lens, whether we were making some ethical decisions on personal and professional front, whether we were causing any harm to the environment, whether we were ones to go and support people who couldn't speak up, or whether we were ones who were sitting on the fence and judging them. So those minor changes in day-to-day life came a long way for us to, I would say, help us reach where we are today.
Yeah, for real. And I think that little thing that you said, that if no one was taking photos, if you couldn't tell a single soul, would you still do it? That is
Yeah.
such a beautiful starting point to have when you're going into your seva. That
Yeah.
like I think people leading larger organizations and people doing the background work, not necessarily on the ground all the time. Those kind of people are the ones that we should be learning from because they're not in the limelight and they're still giving a majority of their time to to some kind of seva cause,
Right.
to help a community of people, whether they are privileged or not. Whether
Right.
it comes from a religious organization where you're just looking to connect people with their faith and provide a space for them, or you're
Yeah.
helping people that genuinely need the help.
Exactly. Yes.
Um, Learning from those kind of role models in society is more important than learning from the people that are on the videos and really doing it and going out sometimes.
True.
Because I think that also comes back to the point of leadership, that a leadership should really flow down to the lowest of lowest people in the hierarchy, even though I don't like using that at all. There's no necessarily a hierarchy in charities, but or at least the ones that I associate with. But I would say that it should be a top-down effect, as in like it should trickle down and everyone should feel empowered, supported, and a part of a bigger collective.
Right.
And a lot of the time that's very difficult to do when you have I did this, I went out and did this. Uh, but it's something really valuable that I think I should be learning a lot more. And a lot of people that I work with, we all should be taking this on because I guess we're from young Jane, so we're very quite young. I'm 19. So we have a long way to go in cultivating these kind of values. But it's good that we start early because I don't think you can ever start early enough for cultivating humility in your work.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But it's the importance of having a leader that really empowers that rather than takes the credit or, I guess, makes you feel less empowered.
Yes.
Everyone should feel really part of making the impact rather than just, I founded this, I'm doing this now. It makes a huge difference, I guess, with even just the vibe of where you're working and where you're doing it and
Totally.
what you want to give.
Totally.
And I'm
Because
sure you guys are cultivating that within your communities as well.
oh, yes. We always get a reminder from our advisors and mentors. So, one particular advisor kept on repeating this to us. You only are a true leader if you're able to create more leaders and step back. Otherwise, you are a failure. And that kept on ringing in my mind so much. And you correctly identified that we both are come from the mindset that we don't want this charity to be founder driven. We want it to be an institute which is standalone, which functions even if we are not there, we are away, we can take a step back, everything. But the organization will keep on running, the projects will keep on running, and with or without this name, Srujna, we can function.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So that's the most important part, I guess, being empowering and having that sustenance there. So, yeah. Okay, another thing I wanted to talk about, I'm just looking at my notes now because I feel like I went a little bit off track. Um, so obviously you upskill so many women. And so how do you guys do this? Do you bring in people from different career paths and people that are really, really experienced and then run workshops, or how does this happen?
Yeah, definitely. We have corporate trainers come in and design specific programs for the women at the grassroots. So there's this one institute which has been with us for the past 5 years now. Initial, of course, they came from their corporate background and experience, but the leader there is really humble. So he took that route for 6, 8 months. He just went ahead and spoke to all the women at the grassroots in different parts of India. And then he helped us design whatever programs he designed. Till date, he is of the opinion that we don't need like a structured format because every community comes with its own dynamics and different characteristics. So we can't have like one size fits all kind of a model for Srujna, especially. We do get a lot of interns, volunteers who support us. So if someone is from a tech background, they come and help us develop some tech tools. We strongly believe that tech is the way ahead. So we have a robust tech system on there's a company called Zoho where we build softwares. So our entire data, project management, etc. is on Zoho. We have an LMS system which we deliver via WhatsApp to the women. So someone helps us develop that. There are people who write about us. There are people who want to write blogs about us. So every step we are fortunate to get some individuals who are passionate about doing something, and they helped us in different kind of skill, which is really important because what comes naturally to me is another point that we can do seva in. It might be natural to me, but might not be natural to the organization or to other people. And
Mm.
can it be my seva skill? For example, writing for me is fun. I don't know if I'm a very good writer or I can write well or not, but it is just fun for me. So, not just my organization, I write for other charities as well. Some magazines which are coming up for youth organization in India, some articles which are based on spirituality, some Hindu philosophy, way of living, or Krishna. I would write on those because as child I had heard a lot of stories, so I translate that knowledge for others. Now, this comes naturally to me, it's my seva skill. Likewise, we have been fortunate that many individuals discovered their seva skill and supported the organization. And support comes in all shapes, size, and format. Like you guys, you are helping us reach to a larger audience and share about our journey, which is again seva for us. So, we are really grateful for such kind of people who came along with us on our journey.
It's so true. And I really like the point of your little seva skill.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people can think, oh, that if I want to start doing Seva, I have to be really good at something, or I have to be really, really good at something. I have to
Yeah.
know everything about tech. I need to,
Yeah.
whatever, have a degree in social media to do all of
Correct.
this stuff.
Correct.
But it's not the truth. Like, you really don't. You have to pick
Hold on. Yeah.
one tiny thing that you're good at and you feel like you can share to others, and that's your saver. And every single person, whether they believe in themselves or not, have something like this that they can offer. Um, and it doesn't have to be obviously money either. It can be time and effort and
Totally.
um, or even just like you get people that comment on posts just
Yeah.
to uplift
Share the post.
and share and engage with them. And
Yeah.
provide more awareness. That's also Seva because, again, you're taking time to spread something that you believe should be
Exactly.
spread.
Yes.
And if you don't have the tools or time to give elsewhere, this is something small that you can do. So
Exactly. The biggest question we get from all the volunteers is, how can I contribute? And that is what we tell them. Just what you suggested, just share the post. It is simple. We are all scrolling. We are on Instagram or YouTube or something. You can just share that post, share that video with the larger audience. It's a bigger seva, I feel, because awareness is all that we need right now.
completely agree. So it's just starting from a little grain of salt, and then hopefully you'll get a full ocean of
Yeah.
impact. Um, yeah, I love that. So another thing that we thought would be a really great thing to kind of touch is Seva in your career. Obviously, Seva is your career. But for us laymen that are like in the corporate world or maybe doing all sorts in medicine or engineering or what, how can we bring Seva into our workplace? Because so I think for me, like a little bit of background, um, I come from corporate background, so I am working in an office, and obviously that comes with its own ups and downs, things, politics, God knows what. And a lot of the time, when you want to keep these values of like having compassion, of
True.
speaking with nonviolence, of speaking with love in your mind rather than like aggression and everything else, it can be very difficult sometimes to involve that aspect of seva in your career. You have to keep it very separate.
Yeah.
So, how would you navigate that situation?
I think there are a couple of points we can follow in our bless you in our day-to-day thing. First of all, we can start with making ethical decisions. So every today's age and generation, as you said, we are in corporate. We use tech a lot. All of us use tech. It's as simple as asking whether this tech is leading to misinformation. It is leading to addiction. Those kind of day-to-day minute decisions are also ethical decision where you can start imbibing seva in it, that if I'm suggesting to my friend this particular app, is it going to lead to an addiction? Do we ask ourselves that if I'm using some product, is it harming the environment? Especially if you see Hindu, Vaishnav, or Jain philosophy, we were very careful about how we are harming the environment, or is there any harm to organisms? Is there harm to animals? I think we lately have stopped asking ourselves those questions. It's more of convenience of what is convenient for me, what is comfortable for me. So it starts with that. Then, secondly, I would say biggest thing is act with compassion and empathy. It is one of the values that we learn in Jainism as well. That we act with compassion. So when there is a new colleague, when there is a fresher, a junior, if you are studying, if there is someone who needs support with studies or with work, are we the one to lend support? Or is it something that we also are on the fence and be like, should we help? Should we not help? I'm too tied up. I have too much to do myself. How can I get the time to do it? It's always those kind of small acts that starts the path of seva, or you can walk on it in your day-to-day life. You can also mentor someone whenever there is an opportunity to mentor a young student or a new colleague or a new employee. We can definitely take up those opportunities of mentoring. And then, of course, finally, my favorite would be, can we take out 1 hour in a week to do something which contributes to any organization of your choice? Any organization. Today, initially it was like there were temples or there were religious organizations that people went to. But right now, there are a plethora of organizations you can choose from. The sector that you like, health, education, livelihood, gender, animals, whichever climate you choose, you make the choice that you want to support and just go ahead and support it. Then there is n number of things. You don't need to leave your work. You don't need to compromise your time. You don't even need to be forceful on yourself or pressurize yourself that I need to do one, two, three to be able to support it. I think it can just be integrated in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, I agree. It can be something that is entwined into your life rather than something
Yeah.
separate from it.
Yes.
Um, but I guess that sometimes it's not necessarily Seva can be done only in a non-profit organization or like a Seva charity, because charity, as you were saying, is also mentoring someone of taking a little bit extra time on a piece of work so that the other
Yeah.
person doesn't have to spend more time reviewing it or
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So, and also I feel like when you have that kind of lens of, oh, I know I'm doing this for money. Obviously, it's my livelihood. I'm getting paid for it, but that doesn't mean I can't put a little extra or a little more because not only does that addition of value get seen and noticed, so it could help and benefit you in the future, but it takes that little bit more kindness to see what the other person will be doing at the end and being like, oh, he's going to be spending an hour after reviewing this probably because I might have done things wrong, but how about I do a little bit more time or I ask him before I send it off, make some changes and then send it.
Yeah. I know.
So I'm just giving an example in corporate of how, because I think everyone sees it as this kind of like bullpen. It's you or it's no one, do or die
Yes. Yes.
situation. Um, but it doesn't have to be like that. And I think a lot of people, I think we need to start, at least our generation needs to start by challenging the narrative of it's not meant to be like that. You can work collaboratively. Actually, it's more beneficial. People will
Yes.
probably have a better time at work, do better if they enjoy it.
Yes. Yes.
So many studies have proven that when you enjoy your work, you go further in it.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and so I think having and bringing that element sometimes is okay. I'm not saying to do it all the time. I'm not saying to spend 10 hours instead of 1 hour on a project. No, no,
True.
no. You need to have your boundaries.
Yes.
But, and you know, you can't necessarily get exploited, but it might be that extra 5 minutes, that extra 10 minutes, or giving someone a compliment or a bit of feedback when they did really, really well,
Yeah.
or anything. Because
Brilliant.
Seva at the end of the day is any action um without the thing in your head that I need something back.
Correct.
So
Correct.
even
And
if
when
you're giving a genuine like a genuine compliment, that's also doing that.
yes, yes, you're uplifting someone's mood today, and that is enough. So you correctly said you cannot have be exploited by such kind of acts, or then honestly, it will put you off on the opposite track that I don't want to do seva at all. But you define your boundaries, you define your timelines, and I'm sure every day, at least 10 to 15 minutes, we can engage in that. Honestly, it is more part towards inroads towards self rather than the outside thing because it will help you connect more with your own self than when you see that it is for others. It is more or less for yourself.
Completely agree. I think this is really, really beneficial, but I'm going to ask you one more question, one last question,
Sure.
before we close it, because I think that people have now been very inspired, got a lot of actionable points. But if you wanted to spread one message about Srujna or about how people should look at Seva in their lives, especially in a time where no one has time, that's, I think it's an excuse, but it's whatever. It's a common excuse.
Yeah.
What is one actionable point that you'd say for youth, especially to keep with them going
So
forward?
I always ask myself this question that if my work, whatever work I'm doing, whether I'm studying or I'm doing some job, some business, some career, uh, if Seva was part of it, integral part of it, how will I do things differently? That's it. And that becomes like a major point for all our it is actually our mantra for all our projects. If we are doing this for service and not doing for branding, not doing it so that Srujna is recognized by the women at the grassroots, how are we going to do things differently? And we have got so many different answers when we look at from that lens. When we see the intention behind doing that particular project or doing that particular action, it changes everything. So right from filling a bottle of water, I'll not waste more water. Water is a precious resource. To I will not not judge people or not go to social media and comment something without knowing the whole story or a backstory. It makes a lot of difference in a lot of action points when we do that.
Very true. Very, very true. I think that's a really powerful thing to keep at the end.
Yeah.
Um, it's a nice little, I'm quite a visual person, so I just imagine like hands being wrapped around your work and being like, okay, now how am I going to do it differently if I know that this is my seva?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, and that doesn't mean you have to spend more time on it or like you
not
have
at
to
all.
extend your work time from 8 hours to 9 hours, but it
Yeah.
just means doing it from a lens of compassion rather than forceful of like, I have to do this for work.
Yeah,
Because I guess that's the foundation of what you guys do and the impact that you guys are spreading constantly. And it's really, really inspiring for especially for youth that people that have literally seen one experience and then dedicated their whole life to this kind of cause is amazing. So one last thing, if people wanted to get involved when they're in India or from here, how would they do so?
We have our Instagram page. We'll share the links with you. B, there's an organization in UK, the Pujara Foundation, which we have collaborated with. So through them, we are fundraising currently. C, you can directly write to us. We would be more than happy to have interns, volunteers, people who want to write for us. Any kind of things that you would want to do. Money is, I feel, just one of the outcomes. There are so many things that can be done together. We were more than happy to collaborate on those fronts.
Okay, amazing. So, as an action for me, I will be sending their website, their Instagram, and any other socials down below, as well as maybe an email so people can write to them if they would
Absolutely.
like to take part in anything. I
Yeah,
definitely would love to visit the office when I'm in Mumbai in Feb, so I will definitely be reaching out to you on that.
please do come.
Um, and I'm sure that many others will be welcome as well, especially like if you want to experience and really, really help on the grassroots. I
Yeah,
think everyone needs a little bit of a little dose of reality every now and again. And even if it's not something you can give your whole life up to,
yeah,
spending even a couple days working with these people, understanding them could maybe change your life too.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
definitely change their lives. So, yeah.
Definitely did. Yeah. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us today. We really, really appreciate it here at Young Janes, and I hope the members have enjoyed too. As always, if you guys have any um, recommendations for the future of webinars of things you want to see or hear about, or if you'd like to speak to Jyotika again, we can always rearrange something else too. So I'd love to hear everyone's feedback as always. Okay, so thank you and have a lovely rest of the evening.